Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Real Watchers stream. This is April 18th. Of course, my name is Garrett, and I am one of your two hosts. Mr. Adrian, the other host, unfortunately had to work a little late and will be here momentarily. But we do have quite a bit of news to get through today, and I don't really want to start the news without him, so we'll just go ahead and give it a little bit of time. How are all you doing? I hope you're all doing well. There's a lot of negative stuff going on in the world. Hope you're all doing well and getting through it the best you can with your loved ones and your friends. If you're unfortunate enough to have children, hopefully they're helping you get through it as well. Totally kidding. We have a lot of news to get through this week, so hopefully Adrian can get on here pretty quick. I know that work was a little annoying, but we'll see how long. If it goes on a little too long, we'll probably start with the kind of my corner in terms of reviews. So we'll see what's going on with that. Awesome. And it looks like Adrian has just hopped on Discord. So we'll go ahead and wait for him to log in. Again, hope you're all doing wonderful. Hope you're all doing well. And he should be here in just a moment. I know you're all anxious. You're waiting for that sweet, sweet release of Adrian joining the live stream. And would you look at that, ladies and gentlemen? He's in the back room. Let's go ahead. Let's get him on this stream. Everyone, give a round of applause for Mr. Adrian Quintana. We cannot hear you. You are currently muted. Oh, I just Oh, there you go. All right. Hi, Adrian. We can hear you.
Cool.
All righty. As we said, welcome to this Real Watcher stream for April 18th. As I said, my name is Garrett.
And I'm Adrian.
And today we got a lot of news to get through. It was just, while we were waiting for you, just making sure that everyone was doing all right. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world and hoping everything goes all right for them. So, luckily you didn't miss too much. There's a lot of news and I wanted to go through it with you because there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about today.
Awesome.
So, as far as the first story for the day, let's go ahead and dive right in. This is a pretty big one. James Gunn's DCU is officially starting production, at least the live-action films are, with Superman Legacy officially starting pre-production. And as Mr. Gunn has stated, costumes, production design, and more are now up and running. So the script is done, and they're officially starting to work on this bad boy.
We'll see how it goes.
Yep, that's the we got to make merch. If we ever have enough people that watch this and make merch, and we'll just make T-shirts that say "We'll see how it goes," and wear it to the movie theater.
Yeah,
but all just depends on obviously who they get to cast as Superman. I think that's going to be a big thing. And knowing James Gunn, I know he's going to be able to put a lot of emotion into it, and hopefully his unhinged creative control will give us something pretty good.
That's what I'm nervous about. We differ on that one. But speaking of casting and things kind of changing up, Jonathan Majors, recently featured in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, has been dropped by his management due to domestic violence charges. Now, the domestic violence charges kind of came, I feel like, almost a month ago now. Really disappointing to see, and this obviously comes as no surprise. But the big question is, what is Marvel going to do with such a star role and him being so good in the role? I'm not saying I would like to see him stay, but it's definitely going to be a large change that Marvel has to navigate really well. I am all for dropping him. It's just got to be done correctly, and I do not envy their position right now.
Yeah, but it all depends on if he actually did it. I mean, his lawyer was adamant that they had evidence that showed that he was innocent. It's been a month now. We haven't seen anything. And I mean, it should be noted that just because his management and PR firms dropping him does not mean that he's guilty. I think that it's just maybe those are amateur firms. I don't know. They don't want to get into that kind of hot water. Maybe, but we got to remember, innocent till proven guilty. So let's just make sure we're taking a grain of salt. Unfortunately, he has filmed everything for Loki season 2, so no matter what, he's at least going to be in that. So But getting into some hopefully better news here, Martin Scorsese's next film, Killers of the Flower Moon, as actually it's based on the book, and the author has visited the set and has said that he's calling it bracing, breathtaking, and powerful.
Cool.
Movies of the year. So that's pretty big praise coming from an author of, like, because a lot of the times you see an author, they're not so nice about what happened to their story. Stephen King is a big one. He hates a lot of the films that have been made about his books. So it's refreshing to see an author really engaging with the production and saying that it's going to be great. I mean, It is Martin Scorsese, though.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of kind of, I guess, like adaptations and things going on in the world, kind of just a general news update, but foreign language content is more widely available now than it ever has been in history, which is clearly evidenced by Everything Everywhere All at Once completely taking over in terms of representation, and then also all of the Korean dramas that are currently just everywhere on Netflix, and that Asian and Black representation in media is continuing to grow. So we're just happy to see it.
Honestly, it's nothing but a good thing. Like it's more different kinds of stories. There's more actors, and it's performances that wouldn't have seen the light of day. I mean, Ki Hee Kwan wouldn't have got an Oscar if he didn't get featured in Everything Everywhere Once. Michelle Yeoh as well. So like, this is nothing but good news. And the report said that actually Netflix is a huge contributor to this in bringing foreign language stuff to mainstream American audiences. I mean, look at how much RRR took over last year because it was on Netflix. That's another huge thing too. So again, nothing but good news here. So glad to see that it's growing. This is a year after year report that's done, and this is the only time I've ever seen it called out in the news. So again,
positive,
pretty big. As far as remakes go, which we haven't really talked about yet, but we kind of did with Superman, there is a remake of Twister coming, the classic Universal disaster film starring the late Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, I believe. This time, we are getting the cast of Glenn Powell from Top Gun Maverick and Daisy Edgar Jones, who was in Under the Banner of Heaven, which is a great miniseries on Hulu. And I believe she was also in Where the Crawdads Sing, which was a popular movie last year. Talented actors and actresses. Also, Anthony Ramos, who was in The Heights, and is going to be in the upcoming Transformers Beast Warriors movie, whatever it's called. Is in talks to star as well. So it's got a good cast. Just have to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm already a little disappointed by what they decided to call it, which has been a bit of a bummer. It's just called Twisters, plural. So that seems like an obvious name and a cop-out of really thinking about anything. So I don't know.
To be fair, the sequel to one of the greatest films of all time, Alien, is called Aliens. So
that's very true. However, I don't think Twister and Alien are regarded as the same realm.
No, I totally get it. I mean, it's certainly better than like Twister Return to Windy City or something like that. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know what would be better, but I don't like Twisters, I guess is the answer.
It could get a name change. You never know.
Totally. But speaking of Twisters and the movie that it will never be able to touch box office wise, Super Mario Bros. Continues its box office reign, bringing in $700 million globally, clearly becoming the probably top animated film of all time pretty soon here if it hasn't surpassed Spider-Verse. Definitely on its way.
It's easily the biggest video game adaptation of all time.
Video game adaptation for sure.
Which I don't know how I feel. But I mean, hey, congratulations to Universal and Illumination and Nintendo for having success on their hands.
Yeah.
And for bringing people to the theaters. I mean, I'm never going to be against that. But speaking of box office returns, the upcoming indie film that we are both excited for, Beau is Afraid, from the director of Hereditary and Midsommar, has the largest indie box office opening of 2023 so far. And unfortunately, Renfield has, in fact, flopped in its first weekend, only bringing in $7.7 million.
Yeah, which I think they were going for like a Warm Bodies feel to the movie, and I just don't think anyone is feeling that kind of movie right now. So
the funniest way I've heard it, I believe my friend Joey, who's a longtime viewer of the channel, had actually mentioned this. I think he said Nicolas Cage is the movie, and that it was wasted. Like the Cage was wasted on this movie, which is really sad. Like usually, I don't know, but hey, good on you for going to go see it, Joey.
And speaking of something that's probably going to be either a smash hit or a smash flop, we did get our first look at the Wicked Stars, the movie adaptation of the popular Broadway play, and thus the adaptation of the book. We finally got some photos, very distant photos, very obscure photos. They don't really tell too much except kind of like ambiance and vibe and maybe like a little bit of costuming. But we're pretty far away in the photos, but I don't know. Still hesitant on Ariana Grande, but I'm sure she'll do just fine. I'm sure I'm just being cynical for no reason.
Yeah, and it's John M. Chu, director of Crazy Rich Asians, doing this, so got to have some faith in him as well. And Cynthia Erivo is a very talented singer, so I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
I see you have the link here in the notes. Did you want to show the photos?
Oh, I guess we can. Let me see if I can pull these up here. I put those on there just in case you didn't see them, but I am more than happy to pull them up.
I feel like we could be a real news people and show the photos, you know?
Let's see here. Let me present my screen real quick. So here we are. This is, in fact, the first distant photo of Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba, I believe is the name. And then we also have a very distant photo of Ariana Grande as our Glinda, I believe.
I do enjoy the vibe that they're setting, though. It does have a really good ambiance to it.
So I saw someone online somewhere post a picture like, "Oh, here's a look at one of the sets," and it's one of the completely dark scenes from Game of Thrones season 8. So, there we go. Let me go ahead and stop that here. But yeah, so first looks. I mean, the set design, it looks pretty promising.
Yeah.
Obviously, but this is nothing to say about the quality of the performances. So
yeah,
that's really the only thing we haven't seen yet. Getting on right away, given everything that happened with Alec Baldwin and Rust, Hollywood studios and unions are very close to a deal on reforming set safety. Again, like the increased representation in media over this last year, this is nothing but a good thing. Making sure that sets are as safe as possible. A lot of us tend to forget just how dangerous they can be, especially with explosions and, you know, a lot of us like John Wick, there's a lot of guns in the movie and they use blanks and things like that are dangerous. So, you know, making sure that there's increased set safety is definitely important. So nothing but good news here.
And speaking of dangerous sets, according to the casting director, the next James Bond movie, or the next James Bond himself, will not be under 30 years old, saying that young men don't have the gravitas needed, which I feel like is an unnecessary hot take. I'm also all for it because I've been hearing some slight rumors that it's Idris Elba, which I am all for, if that is actually the case.
100% down. I think he would be. He's been my number one pick for James Bond for forever.
A lot of people, yeah.
And then I would say I think Henry Golding is the only other person I would really root for right now, who played Snake Eyes in that recent movie, but was also in I think Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah,
not to bring that up again, but yeah, I think if that is true, if he is the rumor, I'm all here for it.
I feel like the slander against younger men isn't needed though. Like I feel like that could have just been a statement in itself. It feels odd to like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's not true anymore. I feel like we've had young actors. They could even portray someone older, but I don't know. Feels weird.
I think I get what she's trying to say because, you know, James Bond is always kind of like this more refined. Even in the book, he's older. Like he's not a
totally
young man. And I think that if you had like, let's say Timothée Chalamet or someone that age, you also are losing that huge core demographic that watches these movies, which skews older. So I think it would be too much of a risk financially to not pick someone. So I don't know. Speaking of casting, we got a pretty big one. I'm excited for this one. Actress Mia Goth, star of the films X and Pearl, and there was also Infinity Pool, which came out this year. She's going one of the rising stars, definitely around right now. Has just joined Marvel's Blade, which is very exciting that she's getting kind of a step into more of a bigger Hollywood production. Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of her work within the last 2 years. That's only really when she's been in prominence, but hopefully this means that the movie's going to start production soon because it's been in a lot of trouble lately.
Yeah, I'm a little iffy. I mean, I didn't see Infinity Pools, but based off of the two previous that were very good, and she was very good in them, I don't necessarily see the acting style translating. So I'd really like to see. I'd probably have to watch another movie with her not doing that role to kind of see how she can play in another film. It's going to be very interesting for me.
Sure, and I could definitely see her as like a vampire queen or something. She totally has that vibe.
Yeah. Speaking of vampire queens, Jamie Foxx is still recovering in Atlanta hospital. No idea why yet.
That's horrible.
You heard it here first.
I don't mean to laugh about the fact that he's in recovery, but just calling him a vampire queen is wonderful. Yeah, we still haven't heard why he's in the hospital, but we're wishing him a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
So speaking of vampire queens, yet again, we've got Margot Robbie has revealed her initial thoughts when she read the script for the upcoming Barbie film, stating, "There's no way they'll let us make this," which makes me even more excited for this movie than I already was, because it looks completely unhinged and incredible.
As it should, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be amazing.
Really, really looking forward to that one.
And speaking of no way they'll let someone make this, Mortal Kombat 2 is beginning production in 2 months to, I think, everyone's shock. First one was okay. Not like the best, did not expect a sequel. However, I'm also not opposed to it. I feel like I had a lot of fun with the first one. Not anything, again, to write home about, but enjoyable enough. So hopefully the second one can kind of continue on that legacy.
Yeah, and it's certainly a better film than the original two were.
Totally.
So I mean, I'm okay with it. And I think they announced the sequel like a month after the first one came out. So the fact that it's only just now starting production is a little weird. Usually I think they would have fast-tracked that. But
yeah,
it was successful financially. So I think that, they are going to try and do it. And hopefully they stick a little closer to the source material this time and not have a introduced character. But speaking of things that we are excited for, this is pretty awesome. Ari Aster, the director of Hereditary, Midsommar, and now Beau is Afraid, it's confirmed that his next film is called Eddington, and it is a Western noir dark comedy.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm all here for it as well. Ari Aster's, him and Robert Eggers are two of my favorite directors right now. I don't think he's made a bad film, and I mean, I haven't seen Beau is Afraid yet. We'll talk a little bit later. It comes out this week, so I'll definitely be going to go see it. This was actually confirmed by his cinematographer. He had kind of talked about doing a Western for some time, and then the cinematographer revealed that it is in fact Eddington. And it also stated that Ari Aster wants to do an adaptation of the game Don't Wake Daddy.
The board game. I used to play that. I have it. Wow, that's cool.
Which is interesting. I don't know how he's going to do that.
I'm just excited that the more that he makes movies, the closer we get to getting the collection of like an Aster's anthology set where he'll go down in history as, I'm sure, one of the greatest. So I'm really excited for anything that's coming out. Until he sours me, I'm here for it.
All right, Mr. Aster, don't sour Adrian.
And speaking of here until they sour me, the Russo brothers want to direct Batman for James Gunn's DCU, and you can count me not on board.
Wow.
I feel like the Russo brothers, obviously they did a great job with Endgame and Infinity War, and they did a great job on Community, but I feel like that's going to blur the line between DC and Marvel. Like, I feel like I go to DC for a different type of feeling movie, and I just hope they don't bring that same comedy writing to the DCU, because I'm hoping for a little more grit in a Batman movie.
True. And to be completely fair, they have not, this isn't confirmed or anything.
Totally, yeah.
This comes from an interview that someone asked, do you want to direct a film for James Gunn's DCU? And they said we would take it, absolutely. There's no question. So, I mean, I think also if they were in Marvel, they're a little bit more constrained, obviously, in what they can do. And I think with James Gunn's DCU and not being afraid to be R-rated, they could flex their muscles a little bit more. It's just unfortunate that their movies that they've made since Avengers haven't been that good.
That's like until I'm soured. Right now I'm like, I don't know if I'm that down for it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. So, but that's going to be it for the news this week. If there's any interesting stories you want to see, let us know.
Before we move on, we have some comments.
We have some comments. This is, in fact, Joey. Sup, gentlemen? What is going on, Mr. Joey? Bring back Kano or it will flop. That is absolutely correct. If Kano is the best part of Mortal Kombat. So if they don't bring him back, it will indeed. Well, I won't say it'll flop, but it'll flop with us. I get you, Joey.
I think they should start doing Mortal Kombat 10 and have like the Xenomorph and Predator and just throw it all in there.
Just throw it all in there. That'd be kind of hard though, because Predator and Alien are technically owned by Disney now, and Mortal Kombat is Warner Brothers.
That's true.
So don't know if that would happen.
Yeah, completely agree. And speaking of things coming off the news, but things that have come out this week, if you missed it, we got a lot of trailers that came out this week for some really, really good movies. One of the ones that I'm personally most excited for is Young Ip Man. I'm actually a really big fan of the originals, and I could not be more on board for this. I think it looks like it's going to come out really well, so I'm stoked.
Yeah, I actually I haven't seen the trailer for this yet. I'm actually going to check it out right after we do this. But I am actually really excited for Last Voyage of the Demeter, or the Demeter, or whatever it is, because I don't know if you're familiar, but that is the it's like the first story or the first chapter in the story of Dracula. So it's actually how Dracula gets to Transylvania or somewhere else or something like that. So it's actually like part of the original story. And it looks like, it doesn't look like an amazing film, but it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm always a fan of movies where people are stuck somewhere hopeless and have to survive against something. It's
life.
Yep. As a millennial, that is 100% true. But also the Boogeyman. This movie is a little interesting. I think the creature itself looks like something straight out of an SCP or a kind of a creepypasta.
That's the best thing it's got going for it, for sure.
Yeah, and some of it looks more creepy. Like it's in the background, and you can kind of barely see it. It doesn't look like there's a lot of jump scares, which as you know me, I hate jump scares. But some good looking trailers this week. But before we move on, we got another comment. Joey reached out. Any chance any of you will see Renfield? Probably not in theaters.
It's a pass for me. Yeah.
I thought it looked kind of fun, and I mentioned to you earlier when you were talking about what you thought of it. And it kind of put me off of seeing it, not gonna lie. But I don't know. If I run out of things to do one day, maybe I will go over and see it. Sorry, Nick. But that being said, let's go ahead and move into. Oh, he said good. All right, of course. Let's go ahead and move on into one of my favorite parts to do, which is to talk about the movies that I have seen within the week and give you my honest, quick little review for them. I went on a little bit of a binge this week for a series, and that's all I watched. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The first one is the original, the classic Jurassic Park from 1993, giving it a 95 out of 100. I said that Jurassic Park's magic still breathes life into audiences 30 years later. Its visual effects, memorable characters, and incredible pacing are only slightly let down by annoying child characters. Of course, giving it a 95. Second up is The Lost World, Jurassic Park from 1997. I did give it a 59 out of 100. I said, while it's not nearly as good as the first and it suffers from way too many idiotic decisions from its characters, The Lost World is a fun yet flawed follow-up that delivers spectacle instead of anything cerebral. Don't go into this movie expecting the same sorts of lofty sci-fi things that the first one sets up. This one is just kind of a horror movie mixed with action adventure. Speaking of disappointments, though, number 3, Jurassic Park 3, gave it a 43 out of 100. Weakly written compared to its predecessors and only a handful of good characters weighs this film down. It's shorter but feels like an eternity, even with a handful of good sequences. And that's the very key sentence there. Handful of good sequences that saves this movie from being horrible, like outright terrible. And the Spinosaurus is awesome in that movie. After that, watched Jurassic World from 2015. I actually really like this movie. I said, is it as good as the original? No. But is it a fun blockbuster that's engaging enough to be a good sequel? Absolutely. It's flawed, sure, but the film is a fun ride and it was a promising start to a new trilogy. Keyword is was promising, because then we get into Jurassic World: The Fallen Kingdom with a 30 out of 100. Said it's the worst of the Jurassic Park films. I will fight you on that. Fallen Kingdom starts off well enough before descending into a film that betrays all of the purposes and messages of the original story. There's no need for its entire back half, and if the film was only its first half, it would have been great. It honestly would have been great. So that is kind of the main thing. I did in fact watch Jurassic World Dominion last year when it came out, so you can see that review down here on my letterbox, where you can see the rest of these as well, and anytime I upload any review that I have done. So a little bit of a Jurassic Park binge this week.
Big dinosaur week for you, yeah.
It was a lot of dinosaurs and a lot of stupid people.
Yeah. Speaking of what Garrett has seen, now let's go into what is coming out this weekend. If you're looking for something to do, there's actually quite the slate of films coming out this week, starting with Chevalier, coming out on Friday to wide release. It's a biography drama historical film based on the true story of composer Joseph Bologna. I'm going to choose to say that as the illegitimate son of an African slave and a French plantation owner who rises to heights in French society as a composer before an ill-fated love affair. Definitely seems actually interesting. I'm a big fan. I kind of get like Whiplash-ish vibes from it. Maybe not as intense, but the trailers look pretty good. Then, of course, one of the ones that everyone's waiting for is Evil Dead Rise, coming out Friday to wide release, classic horror film. A twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessed demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of a family imaginable. I've actually heard the reviews are pretty mixed, but the trailer looked pretty scary from what I saw, so I actually might be checking this one out, even though I'm not a huge fan of the Evil Dead series. This one caught my interest. Then coming up next, we have Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, coming out Friday to wide release. I will absolutely be checking this one out. Action crime thriller. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant follows the U.S. Army Sergeant John Kinley and Afghan interpreter Ahmed. Looks really interesting. Everyone's saying drama to behold, everything like that. So I'm definitely going to check it out. It's like a military movie that looks really, really fun. Then we have To Catch a Killer coming out on Friday. Only moderate releases, so definitely check if your theater has this. It's going to be relatively wide, but it just might not be in your direct area. You might have to travel like 20 minutes or so to go find one. This is a thriller set in Baltimore, New Year's Eve. A talented but troubled police officer is recruited by the FBI's chief investigator to profile and track down a mass murderer. A psychological manhunt thriller, Misanthrope marks Oscar-nominated writer-director Damien Sifron's English-language feature directorial debut, and it also stars Shailene Woodley. So kind of I don't know if it's like a resurgence for her, but definitely I feel like I haven't seen her in a while, but she's back. So if you're a fan of her, definitely check it out. Then we have Somewhere in Queens coming out to Friday, also to moderate, so it might be a little bit of a drive. We have a comedy drama. Leo and Angela Russo live a simple life in Queens, surrounded by their overbearing Italian-American family. When their son Sticks finds success on the high school basketball team, Leo tears the family apart, trying to make it happen. Seems like a classic, like family-centered drama. From the trailer, I didn't get too much comedy involved in it. Maybe I just read it wrong, but or maybe I'm just not funny. But definitely seems like it's going to be an interesting movie. So, again, a moderate release, so you might have to drive a bit to find it. Then we have War of the Worlds, The Attack, coming out on Friday to limited release. Might have to drive an hour to go find this if you're looking for it. Horror sci-fi thriller, the adventures of three young astronomers and their fight to survive a deadly Martian invasion. Seems like it might be an interesting take. I actually didn't see a trailer for this one, and it didn't really have much information on it, but if it is playing in my area, this might be one I check out. I'm a big space fan. Then another big one that everyone's been waiting for is Beau is Afraid, or at least we've been waiting for it, coming out Friday to wide release comedy drama horror. Following the sudden death of his mother, a mild-mannered but anxiety-ridden man confronts his darkest fears as he embarks on an epic Kafkaesque odyssey back home. Trailers look incredible. A lot of people have already seen it. It was out in limited release last week, so people have kind of seen it here and there, but it is wide release this Thursday night or Friday day. If you're interested in seeing that, I would highly recommend it. Then we also have Carmen coming out on Friday to limited release, drama music. Benjamin Millepied's complete reimagining of Carmen tells a story through an experimental dreamscape featuring an original score and songs. Haven't really heard too much about Carmen in general, but this does seem like a complete revision of it. Even the trailer kind of hints that it's a complete redesign and some of the shots are totally different and everything like that. So might be worth checking out if you want to make the drive to go see it or if it's playing near you. Then we have Say I Do to Me, coming out Friday to limited release, a straight-up comedy. Ping, a YouTuber, concocts a plan to put on a show of marrying herself in what was meant to secure both money and likes. However, this game ultimately ends up in the discovery of her true self in this coming-of-age fairy tale comedy. Kind of what we were talking about earlier. It looks like a foreign film, or at least like more representation, and it looks really funny from the trailer. I think I might check this one if it's playing near me, or I might catch it whenever it ends up on streaming. Definitely seems like one of those feel-good, fun movies. And then last but not least, we have Other People's Children coming out on Friday to limited release. The comedy drama romance about a childless woman forming a deep relationship and bond with her boyfriend's young daughter. Definitely seems like the most limited. I think the theaters is like super small that this one's going to. But if this is something that you've heard about or it's playing in your area, it does also look really good. It looks very indie, looks really, really nicely shot, and well acted. So might have to check that out.
All right, yeah, a lot of movies coming out this week. I'm interested to see though, where did you see mixed reviews for Evil Dead Rise? Because
kind of everywhere. I feel like the feedback I've been getting, even from people that like on oh my god, what's the website? Rotten Tomato. I feel like not the audience has been really favorable, but I feel like critics have been giving it like, I don't know, maybe the ones I read were early on, but it felt like back and forth.
I was going to say, I'm looking at it right now. It's got a 93% with critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 73 on Metacritic. So
then, hey, look at that. It's fixed itself. I was definitely looking. I didn't look today. I looked at like when
it may have gone up since then.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it's got 53 reviews, so it's already sitting at a pretty high amount. So
nice, yeah, good for it. It looks really good. That's what I was saying. The trailer looks amazing.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute, I thought they did really well. But yeah, a lot of good stuff this week. Definitely Evil Dead Rise and Beau is Afraid, obviously. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant is actually kind of interesting. It's getting kind of mediocre reviews, but
it looks good though, which is a bummer. Like I want to like it, so I'll have to check it out.
I don't know. But speaking, that's movies that came out or that are coming out. Let's talk about the ones that already came out. With the box office report this week. In number one, not very surprising, Super Mario Brothers movie brought in $92 million over last weekend. In second place, this is rather surprising, The Pope's Exorcist, bringing in $9 million, which is weird because the movie's apparently not good at all.
I think it's just that it has like actual footage, so people really want to go see it. It's previously unreleased footage.
Big air quotation marks there. Number three, John Wick Chapter 4 bringing in $8 million. Tied with Renfield at number 4, bringing in $8 million about as well. And rather impressively, Air coming in with 7.8 million at number 5. Sad to see D&D drop off the charts, unfortunately. And it has already been labeled a flop, unfortunately, because it did not make its budget back. So, unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to get another one. Which
at least right now, yeah.
Yeah. But that's going to be it for the box office report from the weekend. One little bit before we get to go, Adrian, what are you currently watching right now?
Yeah, I'm currently watching on Netflix, I believe both of them. I'm watching Beef, and I just started Narcos for the first time, and that's a very good show if you haven't seen that. Beef is also really, really good. I found myself wanting to watch another episode. A24 hit it out of the park again, and they're only like 30 to 35 minute episodes, so super bingeable, really, really good show. And then I did watch a couple movies this week. I watched Contact again and had some questions about it. And then I watched Annihilation as well, which I really, really like. I also like Contact. I feel like I saw some new things in Contact that I hadn't seen before. And then also what I'm playing, I just downloaded Outer Worlds, whatever the Spacer's Choice Edition, like the full 4K one.
Yeah.
So just downloaded that, just started it. I'd played it a little bit before, but kind of diving back into it. And I've also been diving into Stellaris and managing my empire and all that stuff. So just been kind of playing some relaxing games and some fun movies.
Awesome. Yeah. I as I'm checking in this week again with the weekly battle against Mandalorian, which has been so up and down. You'd think it's a roller coaster. Last week's episode was really good because we finally got a lot of things resolved and left on a pretty big cliffhanger. So I'm definitely going to be waiting for midnight tonight, just because there's I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot they're going to have to talk about. And Dave Filoni has said that you'll be cheering at the end of this episode, but then later we'll question, wait, should I be cheering? So that's kind of, I don't know if it's just hype, but, and then besides that, I've got back into Battlefield 2042. It's the middle of a new season. The game is super polished right now. A lot more people are jumping into it, especially because it's free if you have Game Pass and EA Play, and has been an absolute blast to play, no pun intended. I mean, I ended up buying the battle pass or whatever, the season pass or whatever, with like the 20 skips, and I'm already at level 70 in it. It feels really easy to level it up, and that's only had 2 days of playing. So, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can get up to it pretty quickly, and it's a lot of fun. So now I'm just kind of trying to 100% all the little trees and everything. So
nice.
But other than that, gonna be, you know, keeping watching some movies. I like the idea of doing like series binges and stuff every once in a while, maybe director binges or actor binges. So I think we just because we did Jurassic Park, might, you know, take a dive into something else we've been putting off, or, you know, whatever. Because doing the Jurassic Park kind of was like, oh, I got that on my shelf, I haven't reviewed it yet, and then I ended up just watching all 5. So, you know, I could end up, you know, just finding something else on the shelf. I do need to go through and watch all the Ghibli movies, so definitely might do that. But yeah, it looks like we have a comment, 1, not 3, cheer for Mandalorian.
There you go.
From devoted fan of the Mandalorian, Cassidy Eddy. I'm sure that's canon now, but yeah.
Much respect, great opinion.
This season was like, so doesn't really quite get a cheer from me yet.
If I was reading a book that was back and forth like that, I'd literally stop reading it.
I don't know. It's like, I think I gotta drop that hope that something is gonna happen in the next episode and just give it up after this. I don't know. They really got to pull through on Ahsoka. That's what I'll say. I
think, I mean, we talk about it every week. I think it's so fascinating that Disney has, and Star Wars in general as a fan base, have been able to rope people in on the hope that it will be good. Like, it's not anymore, and that's okay. We can all accept that. And if you still want to watch it, knowing that, that's totally fine. Like, you can like it individually, but like, it's so interesting how they've roped the entire the world into like another movie. Maybe it'll be good. I think it's so fun.
To be fair, you haven't seen Andor yet, and Andor is really good.
And to be fair, that's 1 out of 100 hours of content they've put out. That's like 8 hours out of 100.
It's not fair to say that they're all bad when one of them is actually some of the best writing they've had. So
since when?
Since Rogue One.
It's a long gap.
Are you talking about Disney or the entire Star Wars franchise? Because that's
just the most recent. Like, how long was the gap between Andor and the last piece of good?
Well, I mean, Mandalorian season 2 was pretty good. So, I mean, and then
that's
Boba Fett was hit or miss, and then I enjoyed Obi-Wan. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but I did enjoy it. So it's very subjective.
I think it's subjective. Yeah, but to that exact point, like, I think it's so interesting that there are people that have my opinion that are watching Mandalorian season 3 in the hopes, just like you, like, next episode's supposed to be good. Why would a show ever need to like clarify that, like, oh, but the next one you're gonna love? Like, why didn't you make me love?
I think that's the kind of the wrong context that you're taking from that. I think it was just talking about how, like, because like the finale of every Mandalorian has been incredible. Season 1's finale was great. Season 2's finale was the one with Luke coming back. Season 3, hopefully we'll see Thrawn, but probably not. You know, so what? I mean, we'll see. We'll find out at midnight tonight, and you'll hear me ranting or whatever on Tuesday next week, or crying. Yeah. My cheeks will just be red. My eyes will be, you know, worn out. But anyhow, other than that, that is going to be it for this week's live stream for Real Watchers. Stick around. We'll have some fun chatting for a little bit, answer any questions you got. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, anything like that, go ahead and put them in the comment section. We'll get to them in a moment here. But Adrian, if anyone wants to follow us online that doesn't do so already, where can they do that?
You can follow us at Real Watchers Podcast on Instagram. That is our #1 most active place. We post whenever we're going live. You can hit a little reminder button. You can also find all of our links there to our YouTube channel, the Twitch channel, to our own individual Instagrams if you want to chat with us. And feel free to give us a like and follow us over there.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for helping make the top 10 most beautiful animated or 2D animated film video very successful for us. We've been really enjoyed making them. The new video, the top 10 most beautiful 3D animated films, came out today. So make sure if you haven't checked it out yet, it is on the channel. Super proud of this one. Again, maybe a little bit, we'll maybe get some disagreements on
definitely. Top 1 and 2 were very in interesting order.
Well, you know, that's the way it is.
That's just a teaser for you if you want to go watch it.
#1 is right where it deserves to be. But anyhow, make sure you check out the video if you haven't already. And of course, the third and final part on stop motion is coming out in 2 weeks. So it's already scheduled. It's ready to go. So make sure you have those notifications on. But thank you so much. Actually, we got a quick comment here real quick. Nadia says, my friend is here with me. Can you shout out Ray?
You almost did it, didn't you?
Your friend Ray is cool, but not, you know, the thing you're implying with that. That's like saying D's, you know? That's all right, we're going to get that off the screen. Anyhow, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all next week. All right. Yeah, I literally... Damn it, Nadia. I was like, wait. Yeah, man. I don't know. I got nothing. Yeah, man. You should really check out. You should really check out Andor though. Andor was properly good.
I don't know. Like I've said before, I just think I'm over Star Wars for now. Like I just don't feel any. I don't feel any desire to watch any of that.
I will say it doesn't like. Obviously, there are the key aspects of Star Wars there. You've got droids, you've got, you know, that kind of stuff. But it's very early on in the Empire. So you're not even really seeing a lot of stormtroopers. It's much more personal. It's much more adult. I'm not going to say it's not like adult as in like it's explicit or anything, but it has more adult themes and espionage. And
that's what I've heard, yeah.
You know, I do think you would enjoy it compared to everything else. But... Yeah. It's sad. It's just sad to see you've been burnt out. I mean, technically I am burnt out on Star Wars too. I'm just burnt out on what's it called? The fans. I'm really burnt out on the fans. Like talking Star Wars with anyone is so annoying.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of where I'm at. Like, I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm just more like I don't really know how to say it, but like maybe I just why in my mind? Why would I like? You're saying you're burnt out. But you're like continuing on, and it's like if I don't like something, why would I continue to like do that thing?
I don't know. I think I don't have an easy answer for this. It's like a comforting thing every week, I guess. I don't know, like a rhythm you just kind of fall into. You're like, oh, gotta watch The Mandalorian this week. You know, like
I guess I don't have that rhythm, so yeah, I guess that's just the difference. Like I don't do that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean. It's weird. I think it's because I've liked Star Wars my entire life. I kind of feel like I'm maybe betraying that love for the source material if I don't see it through. You know, I don't know. It's weird.
But you'll die before it's over. They'll just keep making Star Wars movies.
Well, that's different. I mean, if I can't physically do it, that's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I remember when I was younger, I definitely used to always like be like, "What? You haven't seen the Star Wars?" And I feel like part of me just like growing is like, oh, like people sometimes just don't like that. Like I'm not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. So like, and everyone's going to tell me it's amazing and it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Just how it goes.
There's a lot of people like that I know who are, you know, I'm not going to say they have wrong opinions. They have differing opinions to what the majority would be. And it's always fun kind of being like, oh, you should check this out. No, I don't like it. Well, all right.
I will say you should always give something a shot before you decide that you don't like it. Like people that say they don't like Lord of the Rings and haven't seen it, that's a different conversation than me having sat through like 15 hours of Lord of the Rings content and then deciding that fact.
Sat through. Oh, that just hurts me to my very heart. Ugh,
Oh, guess
anyhow.
what? He broke his toe when he kicked that helmet. Oh, absolute visionaries.
Cool. It makes that scene. It just shows how stupid one man can be to keep going. I don't know.
Or it just shows how risky the sets were. They would. How about Lord of the Rings walk so that Rust could run?
Or you could say that Rust shot itself in the foot.
Yeah.
Or in the cinematographer or whatever. That's horrible. I take that back. Yeah, that's really the biggest thing though too. Like it's been really hard to get people to watch something that they typically wouldn't. You know, I have that struggle a lot with like my family, for sure. Like I'll watch something like this movie is incredible. You have to watch it. Like it is like actually brilliant. And they'll be like, I'm not in the mood, or it's not my kind of thing. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's your kind of thing. I know you will enjoy it.
But that's you can't force things on people.
No, certainly not forcing it on them, but it's like this reluctance to at least be open to it is very frustrating.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always open to things, but I definitely would say like, yeah, I think it's up to an individual person. Like again, I used to be the person that was like, you haven't seen that movie? That's crazy. It's so good. And now it's like everyone's got lives, you know? Maybe that's just growing up for me is like everyone's like, I haven't seen stuff. Like, I haven't seen The Godfather.
Which is crazy. But I mean, like, obviously, it is a long film, too. And, like, it's definitely one you have to, like, set aside time for. So, I mean, if you don't have the time, then you don't have the time.
Yeah, I guess so. We do have a comment, yeah.
Nadia, y'all got to check out Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead. Solid 3 out of 5 farts. Probably still better than Epic movie.
I thought that one took a plunge and didn't make it out. I thought it didn't do so well. Oh no, I'm thinking of Zombie Ass Constipation. That was the sequel. It never came out. Did you get the constipation joke?
Yeah, but I was trying to come up with something too, and I just couldn't. A-Train's brain works far faster than mine. Joey, Godfather 2 is better. Well, better than Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead, and just being better than the original. Better than the original is not. All right. I still don't get Nadia's joke. Oh, are you talking about the one with Ray? Did you say the name out loud?
She wants you to say it.
Racism is terrible. There you go.
Oh, don't, Nadia. I think your friend is fine. Ray's a good guy. I mean, I think he could probably change his last name, but he's a good guy.
Sorry to your friend. If that's an actual friend, and I am not playing it on the joke, the fact that Nadia said so close means that I'm very confident in saying that that's not a real person. But if you are a real person out there, you're not terrible. But racism, the thing is.
You got him to say it, Nadia. Congratulations. And Cassidy, congratulations on getting it out.
Oh my God. On that note, thank you so much for joining us for this live stream.
On
the note that racism is terrible.
Absolutely.
You think in 2023 would be common sense. But then again, we have Ron DeSantis in Florida. Anyhow, have a great rest of the day, everyone. We'll see you all next week.